Hi guys, my name's Rohan, and as many of you already know, I'm going to be talking about spiders today. So, as a special surprise for all of you, I want you to look under your seats and greet your furry friend.
Oh man, it's fun.
That's pretty cool. Abraham Lincoln once famously said, "If you read it on the internet, it must be true." But to what extent does this famous proclamation affect I like that, thank you. But to what extent does this famous proclamation affect our daily lives? I've almost no doubt that everyone here today, myself included, has believed something that seems impossible, but we validate it due to it being from a seemingly reliable source. But in a world where the term fake news is thrown around, are we doing enough to ensure that the information we receive is accurate? To put this into perspective, I'd like to take you on a journey with me. Who here has heard of the internet fact, the average person swallows 8 spiders in their sleep every year? That's good. Now keep your hand up if you've told that to someone else. Alright, see, that's quite a few. Yeah. Now, I've personally heard a lot of variations of this claim, and at first glance, it seems very easily dismissible, for 3 main reasons. Firstly, spiders aren't too fond of wet and windy regions, which is a perfect description of the human mouth. Secondly, what incentive would they have to climb down from their webs into a human's mouth? Well, there's no possibility of prey or anything like that. And finally, spiders are very sensitive to vibrations, and while we sleep, we tend to move, snore, etc., which causes the spider equivalent of an earthquake. But it did make me wonder, if this claim is so easily dismissible, how did it begin? And let me tell you, the things I discovered were so intricate and interconnected that they formed a web of lies, if you will. A quick Google search led me to the website Snopes.com. For those of you who don't know, Snopes is a website that focuses on debunking urban myths and legends, and most people seem to agree that it's quite a reputable source. So basically it's like the website version of Mythbusters. And it's in one of their articles that they claim that the myth gained popularity in 1993 when the columnist by the name of Lisa Birgit Holst wrote an article titled "Reading Isn't Believing" in the PC Professional magazine. She supposedly wrote the article, which included the 8 spiders myth, to demonstrate how people will believe anything they read online. They further claimed that she took this myth from a book released in 1954 called Insect Fact and Folklore. So that's cool, simple enough, quite an interesting piece of trivia, case closed. If it wasn't for the fact that I borrowed the book. And it does not make any mention of swallowing spiders in your sleep. So just to recap, we've looked at the average person swallows 8 spiders annually in their sleep myth. We've determined that it seems really unlikely. Our discoveries have been supported by the opinions of experts, yet the supposed original source has had no mention of the fact whatsoever. So, me, being the history student that I am, I returned to the original Snopes article, and of the 4 remaining citations, 2 were unrelated. One was a Q&A type style, where the reader asked a newspaper if the claim was true, followed by an entomologist stating that it was highly unlikely. That leaves us with citation number 3. And this, my friends, is where things get mental. Citation 3, Lisa Birgit Holst. That name, once again. The name from the original Snopes article that was the supposed cause for a widespread distribution of the myth. Believe it or not, but I'm not actually the first person to look at this source, as a quick search reveals that the top results are people looking for the same thing. Lisa Holst, a reporter for the magazine PC Professional. As it turns out, no one has been able to locate a reporter by that name, nor has anyone been able to find a magazine called PC Professional. So we have a massive piece of misinformation being spread on the internet, and in reality, we have no idea where it came from. Or so I thought. I found a few magazines that fit the bill, but none of them quite added up. I'm not going to lie, I was personally quite stuck here for a while, until I realized the possibility of the magazine being in another language. The obvious one being German, as Holst is a common German surname. So with a German magazine, PC Professional identified, I did what any true detective would do. I flew to Germany. Just kidding. I was lucky enough to find a copy online. My heart was pounding, I was finally here. I loaded up the magazine, scrolled to page 73, and a recipe for shepherd's pie. I'm not joking. After all that, that's what it boiled down to. No Lisa Holt, no spidery misconceptions, no nothing. And if this wasn't it, then I highly doubt that article exists in the first place. I mean, I even clicked on page 2 of Google, so you know that I've been thorough. So after a few hours of feeling sorry for myself, I began to wonder if Snopes.com, for whatever reason, had intentionally provided incorrect information. And it was with this that I realized the name Lisa Birgit Holst was actually an anagram for "This is a big troll."
Woo! Wait, are you kidding me?
So unless we want to believe that's a big coincidence, it would mean that Snopes, I'm going to say this a few times because even I don't get it. It would mean that Snopes has written a meta article about a made-up columnist who once wrote a made-up article about people's willingness to accept false claims as the truth in order to expose people's willingness to accept false claims as the truth. And they succeeded. So that, ladies and gentlemen, is the entire point of this talk. Almost every mention of that urban legend has been credited to an origin story that was, of course, presented as the truth, yet was written by someone who, by the balance of probabilities, doesn't exist. The fact remains, so many hundreds of articles have been told under the pretense that the Lisa Holst article exists, and not any prior knowledge of its existence. So where does this leave us? I'm not here to tell you what to do. I'm just trying to highlight the massive holes for ourselves that we dig, massive holes we dig for ourselves when we swallow false information and fake news without verifying our facts and thinking for ourselves. Let's think, really, critically think, before we consume information that might be trying to consume us. Because if we don't, well, we might as well be swallowing spiders.